Hello, Nigeria. There's no better place to be, so don't you ever change that dial. What's up, everybody? It's Kabam Zasukwa, and you're watching Hello, Nigeria.
Hello and welcome. You heard it straight from Kobam's lips. Don't you ever change that dial. You're most welcome back. This is Hello Nigeria, and we're about to go on to speak about our top story for today, and that is child abandonment. Now, to speak to us about this, or with us about this, is Ngozi Nwosu Juba, as you introduced earlier on. She's a human rights activist and the project director at Vision Spring Initiatives. The organization has a mandate to mainstream gender and participatory leadership into Nigeria's educational sector. She's an experienced researcher in the areas of non-governmental development and human rights. She participated and attended the CEDAW Committee Review of Nigeria that took place from July 7th to 14th, 2017 in Geneva, Switzerland. So welcome back from Switzerland. Great to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you.
All right, so we're looking at child abandonment this afternoon. The focus is on children who are unfortunately abandoned by their parents or their carers. What do you have to say about it? What is the statutory definition or, explanation for child abandonment?
Okay, so I always like to look at things from the root cause. And like you said, I'm just coming from Geneva, where government of Nigeria was debating issues around women's rights, children's rights. And it was an embarrassment to find that a law that seeks to protect women and children is still problematic to pass in Nigeria. Yeah. And so starting from protecting children, we have a Child Rights Act, which I think that every Nigerian would jump to sign to say, let's protect young people. But as we speak, of course, knowing that even when we are part of a law, that law does not automatically translate into our law until we take them to states. So, for instance, in other countries, when you have signed a document such as CEDAW that you mentioned, automatically, or Child Rights Act, when you come to your country, that becomes the law of the country, yeah? But that's not the case in Nigeria. It now has to go from state to state. Right now, we have about 24 states that have passed the Child Rights Act. So, back to your question, why do we even have child abandonment?
Exactly. Why would a woman, after carrying a baby for 9 months, abandon?
Why would a woman abandon her baby, And so the question is, what is going on, with our country? There's a huge challenge of care and support, From what also we discussed was that child mortality, maternal mortality rate Nigeria is second to the highest in the whole world. Wow. What it means is that our population has exploded. People have children they can't take care of, yeah? People are now selling off children because of hardship. So the thing is, what is the root cause of child abandonment? People are having children they can't care for. They don't have money to support. Our Nigerian support system has not prioritized. I was listening to you when you talked about quickly passing a law to stop whistleblowers, giving 5 years imprisonment or 10 million naira. What's Nigerians' priority? Nigeria just passed, of course there are some good things, they just passed the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act in 2015. In that law, issues like female genital mutilation and other issues that are detrimental to Nigeria moving forward in terms of health, the imprisonment, even rape, in that is not up to 5 years. Don't pay up to 10 million. Yes, it's either you pay 200,000 if you do not rape. No, for things like female genital mutilation, all those other abuse that women face on a daily basis. Yeah, it's either 200,000 or 100,000 in the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act that was passed in 2015. So people are abandoning children.
But there are females and representatives in the Senate and, of course, in the House of Representatives. You have NGOs like yours and others. Are you not exerting enough pressure on them to or sponsor a bill to look into this?
Yes, but unfortunately, you know that NGOs, we can't sponsor bills. What we can do is advocate and find someone who is friendly in the House to say push for this bill, yeah? And then because of what I just described earlier on, that Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act still is only effective in Abuja. because automatically it can become the law in other states. States now have to...
So it has to be adopted.
Exactly, absolutely. Yeah. So civil society, of course, we are pushing. That was why we had the VAP Act. We pushed and pushed. The people in the house, how many of them? Yeah.
But now let's go back to what you spoke about with regards to child abandonment and the Child Rights Act only being signed in 24 out of 36 states in Nigeria. That means that 12 states are not complying.
Yes.
Why would a state not want to sign in the Child Rights Act to protect the rights of a child in their state?
Absolutely, that's the question. That's where I talked about issue of priority. What's Nigeria's priority? Do we even know the advocacy that we did to even get the 24 states to pass? It's not their priority. So children are abandoned. Some families just keep having children. Nigeria has a law in the constitution, a portion of the constitution that also came out in Switzerland that criminalizes abortion. But let me tell you, abortion is... Yes,
these are some of the things that...
So people keep having children. We are very... the Minister for Women Affairs in Geneva said that Nigeria is a highly religious society. She was telling the CEDAW committee, Nigeria is highly religious. There are certain things that we cannot accept. For crying out loud, Nigeria signed the CEDAW, the Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, in 1985, without reservations, without saying, okay, this is our issue. We're not comfortable with this. We cannot afford to do that.
You're not cherry picking.
Exactly.
Yes.
You didn't pick. Some countries pick. As I speak to you, I'm not sure America has signed.
That's why it's a problem when you now come to state level, because I'm sure I can almost imagine the states that haven't signed this.
Absolutely.
Because when it comes to state level, the people are now saying, okay, well, if you include that, I'm not going to sign it.
We might need to be flexible. We can't just hold on to something, because we're seeing the results. This child abandonment and all of that. Why do you not give people safe means of...
Absolutely. And I was in Abuja like a month before now, where someone from the Ministry of Health said that 90% of the funding on health comes from outside of this country. 90%. It's funded by UNAIDS. You talked about UNAIDS statistics. Our statistics are either from UNAIDS or from EU.
Yes.
We don't have our homegrown statistics. So if you ask me now how many children are abandoned, I might have to go to Google and find what UNAIDS
just
says.
like out-of-school children.
Absolutely. From UNAIDS. We don't have our own. We have research institutes. You Google, the website is down. You understand? So child abandonment has many facets. Some families are having more children that they can take care of. Yeah. Recently, a child in Borno had a child and strangled that child to death and tried to flush the child through the toilet.
So a child giving birth to a child, that's
absolutely,
another problem.
You know?
Because even, we had the debates very recently in the Senate, in the House, about the age with child marriage. And they said as long as the child is an adult, so it was quite vague.
Absolutely.
When you have a child giving birth to a child, these are some of the reasons. So even the mental state of the mother could also influence or determine how the mother would react to the child when the child is born. So what are the other reasons? Because there are people watching and you wonder, like Benga mentioned, it's almost unimaginable to think of a mother carrying a child for 9 months and then abandoning the child. And then
you have the cases of baby factories too, where people sell their babies.
So of course, I think that of baby factories, you know what they say about demand. If there's a demand, then there will be supply. Absolutely. So that has to do with some couples who are probably having difficulty having children. Because I'm from the East, I know that happened. That's what made that business, boom. So they make arrangements with individuals and say, keep a young person who is pregnant for till they give birth, and then we can buy that child. I think that we did a little survey. That one is what happened. In the case of the North, where there's so much hunger, and poverty, I hear people are selling their children for like as low as 40,000, 50,000. If I have 7 children, I won't watch the 7 die. Let me sell 1. In the North, though I don't have, I haven't experienced it, but those are speculations that I heard. I can't really say whether that is true. But the thing is that most of these children that you find that are abandoned are children of young girls who are not ready to have children. They don't have husbands. They're not prepared for it. So when they have those children, they go abandon them. Because if I'm looking for a child, I can't have a child and abandon that child. It's young people who are not ready. And the Constitution and the state doesn't make it easier. Because if you say you are banning abortion, does it happen or not? Young people are sexually active. 14 years, 13 years in schools these days, they are sexually active. And
when you criminalize it, people go through back channels.
Absolutely.
And that's where you have problems and health complications and all of that.
Yeah, but that's true. But the reality of our nation is that despite the fact that we say we're a secular state, we're not a secular state. A lot of people, if you bring 5 people into the room, 4 out of those 5 people would hold on to a religious faith or the other. And these religious faiths frown on abortion. So understanding our reality, what is the best way? Because we have to face, this is the reality of, we cannot keep asking for what and saying, no, we must do it, because it's almost like fighting a brick wall. You won't get it, you won't get through that. So understanding our peculiarity, the peculiarity of our people, what is the best, what I know we have education in schools, going out, raising awareness, and government putting, advocacy, because it's not only in Nigeria. We have states like the Vatican, we have countries that are very Catholic. I know it's many Catholic countries that would say, would ban abortion. But there's a way that they handle it, because if we cannot face this problem, we have to still look for a solution to the problem.
I also want to ride on the back of what Aya just said. Okay, if we stick to it, that look, abortions, no. But what about these people that are living, that we can see? The central theme of all major religions in the world is love. Don't we empathize? Do we not care? Why are we not having this conversation as an emergency thing? Because every time I drive around the city, it breaks my heart to see kids that should be in school hawking. And I remember on Salah Day, just outside the mosque, you could see kids of the wealthy coming out, and then it was on a Sunday. And then in the church, they were coming out, and then you had these kids in tattered clothes begging. Everybody just went by about their business, like nothing is happening. So if you're going to stick to, okay, no abortions and all of that, what are we doing to help those that are living and in those conditions?
Now, just before you answer, sorry, I'd like to let people know out there that they can call in. If you'd like to call in to ask questions or make contributions to today's topic, then please make use of our telephone lines. They're scrolling on your TV screens. Let us hear your voices. Weigh in on this very important discussion as we have our experts with us in studio. Thank you. All right, go ahead, please.
Okay, so let me start from, I talked to you. I think that the thing that will all work for a country is that we need to begin to think not just now. We need to think about future. What are the root causes of, can we nip it from the bud? Of course, I'll come to your question. So, for instance, we had this conversation with the Minister for Women Affairs, and she said to us, when we get back to Nigeria, we are going to have a conversation, because they are reviewing the Constitution, that they would review. Of course, this has been reoccurring at the CEDAW committee, that they need to take out negative laws, that stereotype women and girls. So they said they were going to review the Constitution, and let's see if they will look at that issue of decriminalizing abortion. For me, that would work, because if people can access health service, then we would have children, only children that we can love and care for. And for those that we already have, because I was discussing with someone, these days Nigerians are so heartless. We go and video people dying, being burnt. I'm like, is this still Nigeria? Is something wrong? And so our government has a responsibility. There was 5 years ago, MacArthur Foundation said Nigeria was going to have a population explosion. Nobody listened. And it's already happening. You haven't even gone to the north and see them roaming around, 5, 10 children with plates, begging around. You drop a small food in their plate, another person that you didn't put in their plate grabs it. It's here. So our government, again, has to do something. We have churches who pick children from the road. We have civil societies who pick children from the road. Nigeria right now has about just 8 shelters.
Country of our population.
Country of more than one.
Let's look at the government's involvement with this, because we know that in many countries where this has been managed, they have a good welfare system, they have a good welfare state. For instance, the United Kingdom, in America, and in other Western countries. How can, because we say and we pride ourselves as the giants of Africa, at least when we're a land flowing with milk and honey, we still have, whether or not we say that there's no money or either we're in a recession, people still build mansions in Banana Island, in fact, our own estate in Banana Island. How can the government help this situation? Because we have a problem on our hands, as we can see.
And
we
it
have more
has
children.
enormous repercussions. If you look at Boko Haram's recruitment, it's part of what happened. You bring people to this world, they have nothing to do, and they're easy targets. And
so what can the government do? What can the private sector do? And what can organizations like yours do?
Okay, so organizations like ours are creating awareness. For me, I always tackle the root cause of a problem. And I talk with young people. Nigeria needs a comprehensive sexuality education for young people to understand. You can't say because I talked to you about sex, that you're going to practice sex, yeah? So we need to look at comprehensive education so that our young people stop giving birth when they are not ready for it. For me, that's something that is like in a longer term. But for the children who are already on the road, we need to create more shelters. We were telling the Commission Minister for Women Affairs, we need more shelters. Even battered women, most of the time they go to civil societies. When they go there, after 3 months, because there's so much influx, they send them away and tell them you have to go, we have to replace, that kind of a thing.
The system is overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed, yes, you know. So we need to have more shelters as an emergency, solution, so that when they find this road, and then of course has like something like task force to go around pick, because I know that in those days our Catholic church was like very vibrant. I think it still is. Some mothers go and drop their children around Catholic church premises and they pick them and take them in. Yeah, so they can have a kind of task force, go around, pick up these children, put them in shelters. There are so many couples who are looking for children, you know, and they have a very systematic way.
Should we encourage more religious organizations to have a shelter in their facilities? So to at least we cannot force their hands, but we can encourage them. Because
I mean, in India, they build in some strategic places where you could just keep babies anonymously.
Like, absolutely.
So should we have, because the honest truth is that for many of these people, they're already overwhelmed. They're trying to take the agberos off the streets, you're trying to rescue prostitutes off the streets, you're trying to build homes for people. So it's almost as if we are encouraging the government to abandon what should be their responsibility.
Absolutely.
Because it is the responsibility of the
everybody
government.
has to work.
We have to work at both
That's why
sides.
I already know that churches are already working, NGOs are already working, and even NGOs is not. I can't even take in a child because there can be repercussions. You know, I can't just take in a child and say I'm looking after child trafficking. Anything can, you know. So government are still the people who have the right to take those children off the road and take care of them, and then have a systematic way of helping people who need children that can come and adopt them. Yeah, I think that's happening somehow in Lagos State, but they should do more of that. And also, but for me, what will really help, even as we're thinking about this temporary measure, is for young people to be educated. It's not the education of don't go near a boy, don't let a boy kiss you, this and that. It's not working. My mother said the same thing to me, say if a boy kisses you, you'll be pregnant, you know. And I was very curious to find out if that's you know, that kind of a thing. So it's not just the usual thing that stay off boys. It has to be comprehensive, where you show them the beautiful side of wanting to have sex early, the ugly part of it. I'm already doing that with my daughter, you know. And I don't think that would mean that young people would then, you understand. Or
you're giving them ideas. They'll find out
absolutely.
Anyway. So because it's better you show them.
You show them
the, right
the options, this and that, you know. Because young people, whether we like it or not, they are experimenting. And we have that responsibility to ensure that we protect our children.
All right, thank you very much. I mean, you've touched on what we as a people can do. How about adoption? Now look at child abandonment. You talk about baby factories and women who are or couples who are desperate to have children. How come Nigeria is not a country that is open to the idea of adoption as widely as we ought to? Because that's another option that people don't quite explore. We explore paying money to baby factories. We explore baby snatching.
Spending millions for IVF
when we have many
work.
Children who need a loving home. What do you have to say about adoption?
Yeah, I think that, for me, 100% on adoption. I think that is just to get the laws right. You know, I know that Lagos State does it. The Ministry for Women Affairs in Lagos does it on a small level. I think that it should be a state-wise thing where it's properly handled, not just to go. And I also hear stories about children who are taken and also put on the road to hawk. People who are taking, so-called people who say they need children also take people and sit on the bridge and use them to beg for money. So we really need to have a systematic way. I really don't have the answer right now, but we need to find a systematic way of ensuring that the babies get into the homes. I know abroad they do it. They keep visiting the family, you know, checking, making sure that you are okay. Like they are there till the child is okay, gets to a level, an age that they are satisfied that you are doing the right thing. I think we should explore more of that.
Now, beyond, you just got back from Switzerland, beyond the talks and the debates, of course, it's nice to have people from different worlds, different parts of the world sit down, deliberate, and look for best practices, best ways to tackle these issues. What is the next step now, and how do we force the political will to implement some of these recommendations you have for the government? Okay, so I think that it has to be, like we've been having this discussion, you know, there needs to be a policy, kind of, not even policy this time. They said they are doing constitutional review. Okay. We'll start from imputing, or the things that we already have in the Constitution, we can strengthen them also in policy, and also agree that policies are also implementable. That's why, for instance, the women's 35% affirmative action has not been implemented, because it's not in anywhere in the Constitution. It's just a policy, just a promise. You understand? I think that also Nigeria is a signatory to many documents that holds them accountable, like the CEDAW I talked about. Nigeria reports every 4 years to say this is what we have done. The thing that would have happened, because I was really ashamed when Nigerian government made a presentation, they had no clue to why they were in Geneva. No statistics,
no
nothing.
statistics.
They just wanted to travel.
They just traveled and got there. And one person, God save her, she nearly said, I'm sorry I came a bit late. She nearly said traffic. There's no traffic. There are trains, there are trams, there are everything everywhere. So she just managed to escape from it. But they need to, on the 24th of this month, there's going to be what they call concluding observations, which is a feedback from what has happened at Geneva.
Are members of the press open to?
Of course they are. They are open. So on the 24th, they are going to give us concluding observations, which is loads of questions and things that Nigerian government should do based on even the Child Rights Act, that the next time they meet them in 4 years, that they want to see that Child Rights Act has been passed in the 36 states of Nigeria.
That's a great one. Yes. And we do hope that we will be able to meet these deadlines that have been set at CIDO. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have had the pleasure of speaking with Nwosu Juba, human rights activist and a founder of Vision Springs Initiative. And we have been speaking on child abandonment and a wide range of topics as well. Thank you very much indeed for coming.
Thank you.
All right, before we go, as we wrap up the show this afternoon, we'll let you know what's happening today in history, the 20th day in the 7th month of the year 2017. Now, today in history, Carlos Santana was born, guitarist who blended rock with Latin American music and fronted the Santana Band. He won the Best Rock Album Award and the Album of the Year Award for Supernatural in 2000. And I think that's the album that contained Maria Maria.
Yeah.
Right. Also, Omar Epps was born today in history for all love and basketball fans. Best known for playing the role of Dr. Eric Foreman on the popular television series House MD. He previously played a television doctor on ER as well. Happy birthday to you both, and also to all those who are celebrating as well. Counting down a few more days to Oliver Modi and Benga Aborowa's birthdays. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we pull the curtain, we close the curtain on today's show. But don't forget to follow us offline at Captain Sankara on all social media platforms, at Ayothompson7 on Twitter, at Ayothompson on Instagram, and at Oliver Modi on all social media platforms. And for you, ma'am, how can people follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter on Initiate Vision, and then on Facebook it's Vision Spring Initiative.
Vision Spring Initiative. Fantastic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been great. It's been very informative and it's been eye-opening. We hope you have learned one or two things from today's show. But see you again tomorrow, Friday, as we bring you another celebrity, entertainment, and fun on our Friday special edition. See you.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love am.